ठीक है, let's start. So we were talking about functions, right? So today what we are going to discuss is objects. Sorry, functions are objects. What does it mean basically? So Python functions are object, that is first class function, and properties of function as an object are, so first of all, functions can be stored in a variable. ठीक है, first thing. Second is function can be passed as an argument to another function, and a function can return a function from it within itself, right? That's another attribute. And next is function can be stored in data structures like list, etc. So functions can be stored in a data structure like lists, list, etc. So let's see these points one by one. So function can be stored in a variable. Let's see what does it mean. So let's say, um, let me define one function. So def f1, and let's pass some word inside it, text. And what I'm just doing, it is returning, uh, it is basically doing the uppercasing of the text. Text dot upper. Okay. And then what I'm doing is, so first of all, if I'll do print hello, if I'll do, so it will just simply just, produce the output in uppercase. Okay, sorry, print f1 of this hello. So it will just convert each and every character into uppercase, right? See, like this. Now, when we store function in a variable, what does it mean? So let's say if I am defining a variable a, I can store that variable in a function. Now, point to be noted here is that यहाँ पे here I'm not using any this brackets, right? If I would have used a bracket, then it's like a function call, and then a will basically receive the return value of the function call. But what I am doing instead, I am just storing the function in a variable. So here it is without these brackets. Okay, simply like this. Now what I mean is that it will now what will happen, this function f1 name, I can basically call this particular function as function by the name f1, which is its original name, and then I can call this function as a also. So with f1 or with a, if I'll call this function, it will still be the same. So what I mean is that, so inside print statement, if I'll do print and a of hello, if I'll do, it will again do the same thing. It will just convert each and every character into uppercase. So this is what is meant by that function can be stored in a variable. Second
Uh,
point.
here we have passed text as a parameter so that we don't need
Yeah,
to.
this is a argument. So it
But
is, yeah.
when we are saying a is equals to f1, there we don't need to pass. We can just write f1.
Yeah, no, yeah, yes, right. So that's what I'm telling. If I'll do like this, so instead of storing function in a variable, this becomes a function call, right?
Yeah.
तो इसमें दिस इज ए फंक्शन कॉल, और यहाँ पे ए जो होगा इट विल बी द रिटर्न वैल्यू HELLO in capital letter. So that's a different thing. Now what I am doing is that I am storing function in a variable. So I am not making a function call. I am just storing the function as a variable. So what we are studying here is functions are objects. So उसमें first point ये था कि functions can be stored in a variable. So that's what we are
Oh,
seeing.
okay. So this is only possible in Python, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So as far as I know in Java, I'm not sure about latest versions in Java, but yeah, this is specifically for Python. So what we mean by this is that now this function can be called with f1 name or a name also. So if let's say this has dual name now in if we'll look from another perspective. So this has a dual name. So you can call this function with f1 or a. So when we call this function with a, it will again behave same way. Second thing is functions can be passed as an argument to another function. Let's see this case. What will happen here? So यहाँ पे let's say I'll define few functions def shout and shout में text दिया मैंने text. What I'm doing is I am just returning uppercase text dot upper and then def whisper इसमें text दिया. So ये क्या करेगा? I am just doing everything in lower case. Yes. Okay. Now, next thing is that I am defining one more function. Let's say def greet और इसमें इसका parameter is a function. So it is receiving function as a parameter and then greeting equal to something like I am doing a function call and there I am passing mix match of the HELLO something like this. ठीक है. Now and after that I am printing the greeting. Okay. Now what is happening here is that so I am creating two functions. एक upper case में convert कर रहा है, एक lower case में convert कर रहा है, and then there is a function. Function can be passed as an argument to another function. So that means that we can define a parameter which is a function in another function. So ये function है, इसका parameter is another function, and इस function से whatever it is receiving, we are making a call, something like this. Now, how do we basically simulate the scenario is that I will do greet, I'll call this greet, and greet के अंदर I will pass function these functions one by one. ठीक है. तो पहले मैंने ये whisper वाला पास किया and then I will pass shout वाला. तो यहाँ पे a function can be passed as an argument in a function. देखो यहाँ पे this is exactly what is happening. तो ये यहाँ पे गया, ये पैरामीटर में फंक्शन पास हुआ इंस्टेड ऑफ एनी वेरिएबल and then inside this using that particular function I'm calling this particular I'm passing this text. तो इस केस में in this case it will call this method और ये वाला जब मैं करूँगा सेम इसी फंक्शन में आएगा but in this case it will call this method this function. So when I'll run this program it will first print everything in lowercase and then it will print everything in uppercase. ठीक है. So this is what is meant by that functions can be passed as an argument to another function. ठीक है. Now next point is that a function can return a function. What does it mean? That means the return type is a function. ठीक है. This is also a very interesting situation. What is meant? What I mean is, let's say if I'll define f1 x. Sorry. And inside it, I'm again creating one more nested function f2 of y. And यहाँ पे I'm doing return x plus y. ठीक है. Now next thing is यहाँ पे I'm doing return f2. ठीक है. And then outside I'm doing a equal to f1 of 15. ठीक. And then print a of 10. ठीक है. Now if we look closely, यहाँ पे क्या situation है? This is a outer function. It contains a nested inner function. ये वाला. And the outer function is basically, it is returning another function basically. F2. Return F2 is a function. So it is returning a function from inside. So F1 is returning F2. Okay. Now what I'm doing here in this case, I am passing F1 of F1 of 15. ठीक है. So that means first of all ये वाला देखेंगे. This is what? ये क्या है? What is this? This is a function call, right? This is a फंक्शन कॉल, विच फंक्शन कॉल, F1 को कॉल कर रहे हैं। ठीक है। रिटर्न टाइप क्या है उसका F1 का, F2। तो ये जो लेफ्ट हैंड साइड पे होता है, दिस होल्ड्स, लेफ्ट हैंड साइड वेरिएबल होल्ड्स द रिटर्न वैल्यू ऑफ अ function. Correct? Any doubt in that? No, right? This is generally what happens basically. जब आप फंक्शन कॉल करते हो, so you make a function call and left hand side पे you define a variable which basically is something which hold the return value of the function, right? So a basically is the left hand side variable that we have defined which will hold the return value of the function of a function f1 in this case. So f1 का return type क्या है? f1 is returning f2. तो a जो है, a will basically a will indirectly becomes f2 क्योंकि f2 रिटर्न कर रहा है f1 and that f2 we are storing in a. Correct? Any doubt in that? No, right? So यहाँ पे in this line when I'm doing a of 10, it indirectly means I am doing f2 uh, f2 of 10. एंड F2 ऑफ 10 जो मैं कर रहा हूं, सो F2 ऑफ 10 का मतलब क्या है कि A ऑफ 10 जो हमने इस लाइन में, सॉरी इन एट्थ लाइन वी हैव गिवन F1 ऑफ 15, राइट? सो F1 ऑफ 15 मींस A is F2, so A is F2 with X equal to 15 permanently inside it. So let me write it down here. So A is F2 with X equal to 15 permanently inside it. उसका मतलब ये हुआ, राइट? सो ये जो ए है, ए का मतलब है कि एक्स बराबर 15 ऑलरेडी है उसके अंदर। तो जब मैं ए इक्वल टू 10 कॉल कर रहा हूं तो इट विल बेसिकली गो, यहां पे जाएगा, F2 को कॉल किया एंड रिटर्न एक्स प्लस वाई। ठीक है, तो एक्स प्लस वाई में एक्स क्या है, 15 था तो वो परमानेंटली 15 ही हो गया है, राइट? एंड यहां पे मैं 10, यहां पे भेज रहा हूं 10 विच इज वाई, तो यहां पे 10 आ जाएगा। तो रिटर्न विल बी 25, मतलब व्हेन आई प्रिंट दिस द आउटपुट शुड बी 25। Any doubt before I can clear this screen? I know this is a little bit tricky thing, but you just understand it step by step. And
Abhinav, if I say A is equals to F2 of 10,
A is equal to F2 of 10.
hmm,
तो F2 of 10 we cannot do because see, अगर मैं यहाँ पे लिखूंगा A equal to F2 of 10, F2 का रिटर्न टाइप क्या है?
uh, F2 का तो X plus
नॉर्मल नॉर्मल नंबर है ना, तो यहाँ पे A will behave as a number only. It will not be a function. A is
1,
equal to F1 of 15 मैंने इसलिए दिया था क्योंकि 50 F1 का रिटर्न टाइप इज ए अनदर फंक्शन F2,
F2,
तो
yeah.
यहाँ पे A F2 बन जाएगा। A becomes F2 with X equal to 15 permanently inside it।
Got it, yeah.
ठीक है, तो मतलब A जो है यहाँ पे, A जो है वो इस तरह का हो गया, डेफ A और Y यहाँ पे एंड रिटर्न 15 प्लस वाई, इस तरह की डेफिनेशन हो गई A की इन दिस लाइन, ये। सो यहाँ पे जब हम कर रहे हैं तो ये इट विल डिनोट दिस थिंग, इस तरह से हो जाएगा। एंड देन नेक्स्ट लाइन में A ऑफ 10 जब हम व्हेन विल डू, तो यहाँ पे 10 आएगा इसमें वैल्यू एंड देन 15 प्लस 10 इट विल डू, सो इट विल बी 25। सो व्हेन आई रन दिस इट विल रिटर्न 25। So this is what is meant by a function can return a function. Now next thing is function can be stored in a data structure like list. ठीक है, so सिंपल से फंक्शन डिफाइन करते हैं। तो फर्स्ट F1 में लेट मी डू प्रिंट F1 किया एंड देन लेट मी डू F2 also, def of F2 and inside this I am printing F2। ठीक है, now let me store these function L equal to, इनके एलिमेंट में दिया F1 कॉमा F2। ठीक है, सो दिस इज व्हाट आई मेंट बाय function can be stored in a list. अब मैं इसको प्रिंट एल करूंगा, अगर एल ऑफ लेट से इंडेक्स जीरो पे क्या है, तो इंडेक्स जीरो पे F1 है, राइट? करेक्ट। सो F1 रिटर्न होगा। इसमें कैसे रिटर्न होगा, लेट्स सी, लुक वेरी क्लोजली हियर, ठीक है? इफ आई एम रनिंग दिस, इट इज रिटर्निंग द ऑब्जेक्ट नोटिफिकेशन दैट इट इज ए फंक्शन F1 एट दिस पर्टिकुलर लोकेशन। नाउ यहाँ पे दिस इज फंक्शन, राइट? ये फंक्शन है। अब मेरे को फंक्शन को, अगर इफ आई वांट टू एक्सेस एनी फंक्शन, अगर मेरे, if I want to access any function and call it, so I call by f and then brackets I will use. तो अगर L0 is a function and if I want to call it, कैसे करूंगा मैं कॉल? I will use bracket in front of it, right? Like this. तो यहाँ पे print में if I will use bracket, तो it becomes, this particular part becomes a function call then, right? So now when I'll run it, it will return F1. It will return F1. अच्छा, नन का ये नन, अगेन इट इज रिटर्निंग नन, इट इज प्रिंटिंग F1 and it is returning none. Why it returns none? Because I told you, right, if function if function is not returning anything and when we are trying to do call that function inside a print method or print function, it prints none. तो instead of ये print के अंदर रखने की बजाय I can directly do like this, right? So this becomes a function call, and if I'll run this now, it will print F1. This prints F1. So this is uh, what it is meant by that you can store the function in a list also. And there is one more way in which you can do. You can store like this also, F1, F1, F2. What it is basically, तो ये this is a function call, right? तो ये indirectly it will mean it is like storing F1 comma F2, right? Indirectly यही मतलब हुआ ना इसका, because this is a function call inside the list you are doing, and वो जब unwrap होगा तो it is F1 value and it is F2. And यहाँ पे when you will do print of L at 0, then यहाँ पे it will basically return this value F1. इसको मैं if I'll run it, ये यहाँ पे F1 print करें. Okay, why what it is doing F1 F2, why it is printing two times? L of 0. क्या कर रहा है?
When you're writing L is equal to F1, comma F2, it called that particular function
Yes,
and
and then
it printed
printed it.
F1,
Yes,
F1 and
yes,
F2.
yes. F1 and F2 is printed. And then inside print statement, when I'm writing it again, L0, it is again printing the value of the list. So that is why three times it is doing. Okay, no, but the thing is that, okay, so again, यहाँ पे भी,
It
when
did
I'm,
not return the values
yes,
if you
yes,
say instead of print.
yes. So
If it would
yes,
have
yes, yes.
changed.
Yes, it is a print statement. यहाँ पे if I would have done return something like this, then it would be correct. So now in this case, it will print F1 only. See. So
Uh,
this,
Abhinav,
हाँ,
can you
yeah.
explain the from where the none is coming?
तो none का मतलब होता है, see if there is a function, if this function I am using it inside print statement F1, ठीक है? Now as this function returns F2, तो यहाँ पे it will print, sorry, this function returns F1, so यहाँ पे this line will print just F1, ठीक है? But let's say inside this function I am not returning anything and I am just doing print F1. I'm not returning anything. So when you are not returning anything from a function, it will first go inside the function, do all the operations within the function. So as part of that operation, it will print F1. And in this print statement, when the function do not return anything, it prints none by default, none. So यहाँ पे the case will be, it will print F1 and then in the next line, it will print none. So इसको मैं, if I'll run it, it will print F1 and it is printing. Okay, uh ये वाला ना, what, 1 second, I'll comment out this line. Okay, now it will print f1 and none. So this is how it happens. So any function or method, if it doesn't return anything and you are using that inside a print statement, it will print none, none. Cool. Okay. Nice. So next thing is, I think we have covered functions are objects, right? Next thing is lambda. So I'll give you quick introduction on lambda. What are lambdas? So basically, lambda is an anonymous function. Anonymous function means it do not have any fixed name. So it is defined without a name, and it can accept any number of parameter, but can return only one value in the form of expression. And it is usually helpful when we use them inside another function. So how to call a lambda function? इसमें how to call lambda? There are few ways, right? Uh, okay, first way, without name, without naming them. Second is by naming. These are the actually these are the two ways. So देखते हैं one by one what are these ways basically. So first one, let's say if I will, I mean how to call a lambda function without naming. So I'm just using print inside print statement. Uh, I will create inside this bracket na. I will create a lambda function inside these bracket. So I will use a keyword lambda, and then I will define x plus 1. ठीक है. So this is a function, and this is a unanonymous function without a name. So this is like creating a function def f1 that accept x, and inside this function it is returning x plus 1. So this is what is meant by this particular line, single line. You are creating a function in the background, you are creating a function, some function like this. ठीक है. Now ये तो this is like creation of the function. Now I want to call this same function, same lambda function. तो फंक्शन कॉल करने के लिए हम क्या करते हैं? अगेन सेम थिंग, राइट? ब्रैकेट के अंदर कुछ वैल्यू देते हैं, एंड दिस इज हाउ वी कॉल इट. तो व्हाट वी विल डू, दिस इज ए अनएनोनिमस फंक्शन, तो इसी के आगे वी विल यूज वन मोर ब्रैकेट, and inside it we will pass some value. Let's say we pass 2, and if I'll run it, it will print 3. So this is how lambda are created, and this lambda is created. This lambda is called without naming this, without equating this to any variable and directly calling it. Now second way, let's see how do we create second way, by naming it. So what I'll do, I'll create one variable y equal to, and I'll use lambda, and then same thing I will do uh, x, and then it returns x plus 1. ठीक है. So this is how I have stored that in a variable, and in next line I will do print y of 2. So यहाँ पे भी it is printing 3. So these are the two ways, it directly without naming, and this is by name, if you want to store any lambda expression in a variable and then you want to call it. So these are the way these are the different ways in which you can create lambda. Now next is lambda inside a function. How do we use lambda inside a function? So इसमें how do you use lambda inside a function? So lambda in function body, first of all, lambda in a function body, this is the first, and then lambda in function parameter. These are the two ways. So lambda in a function body, let's see that first. So function body मतलब normal function. So let me define a normal function f n and it accepts, let's say, number n. इसके अंदर body में I am returning lambda. So I am returning lambda from the body. So I'll do lambda a a plus a plus या इसको मल्टीप्लाई कर देते a into n I am returning. And next thing is that what I will do, I will use x equal to fn of, let's say, 2, and next line में print statement में I am using x of uh, 11, let's say. If I run it, it is 22. Okay, so what is happening in this case? So यहाँ पे this is a function, right? Normal function. And return type of this normal function is another function. That another function is a lambda, not a regular function. तो ये जो lambda होगा, ये behind the scene ऐसे इस तरह से there is basically it will basically work like this. इस तरह से कुछ बनेगा behind the scene this function, and it got returned. Now the return type of this fn is a lambda, or return type of this function fn is a function only. तो fn2 मैंने दिया जब यहाँ पे, and I have basically stored that in a variable x. So x is fn. यहाँ पे क्या हो जाएगा? X is fn with n equal to 2 permanently inside it. ठीक है? तो अब जो वो जो व्हाट यू से, जो lambda
Nested
जो हमारा,
function.
yeah, so that
Yeah.
lambda basically has n equal to 2 as the permanently value inside that. And in next line when I'll do x of 11, so 11 will be basically passed as the value of a. तो 11 यहाँ पे जाएगा and it will do 11 into 2, which will be 22. So this is very tricky. These are some of the very tricky things. So you have to just practice these things a lot, and you have to decode these expression one by one. Just remember that the function can return a function, and when function returns a function, so left hand side ka variable will behave as a function only if you'll equate to the function, right? So this is how lambda basically work. And let's see whether we can use lambda in a function parameter. Function parameter का मतलब है यहाँ पे in this instead of n, what if I'll use lambda a equal to a plus n, let's say. So यहाँ पे you cannot use function lambda as a parameter inside a function. It will create an error. You can use inside the body only, or all together at a standalone manner. So this is about lambda. Okay. Uh, cool. So this is about the function. Next thing is exception handling. So exception handling may, how do we basically, so exception, what is exception? So exception is nothing but a exceptional situation, right? Let me create a new uh okay, give me 1 second. My mouse battery got over. I have to connect it to a wire. Exception handling in Python. Okay, ठीक है. So सबसे पहले what is exception? We will see what is exception, and then we will see what is basically how do we use try except block. Try except block. After that, we'll see what is raise keyword in Python, and then after that we will also see What is assert keyword? ठीक है. So first of all, what is exception? So exception is nothing but an exceptional situation. So exceptional situation का मतलब है कि let's say you have defined a variable uh, a equal to, let's say, c equal to b by a. So when b and a की value, but when a की value is anything, कुछ भी any number, then it will work fine. The return, I mean, the result will be fine. C will have some, definite number which will be calculated by B divided by A. But if A की value becomes zero, so that's an exceptional situation, right? That's an exceptional situation where the value of C becomes indefinite. So A का value becoming zero is an exceptional situation, and hence the exception will be raised in this situation. So all the condition where we face exceptional situation, there is some exception defined in Python, which basically tells you, or which basically gives you the information about that exceptional situation. So that's why the exception handling in any programming language is introduced. Now, how do we basically uh, create exceptions in Python? So let's say यहाँ पे let me create one try. So we basically use try and except block. So Java में it is try catch block. यहाँ पे we use basically try and except block. So try except, basically यहाँ पे try में let's say I am using c equal to b divided by a, and print c I am doing, and यहाँ पे let me define value a equal to 2, b equal to 2, and after this I'll use except block. So except block means anything which will be executed when the exception will occur. So इसमें in except block, let me print simple, and uh, yeah, okay, let's try to run this program first. Simple program. If I'll run, it is printing 1 by 0. So because it is a division, right? So it will return the result in float. So 1.0. So यहाँ पे a and a equal to 2, b equal to 2 is a normal condition. So this will be executed. This will be printed. Now, try block basically denotes that there is a possibility that exception can occur. And in that case, so if you'll write your code in try block, then you have the control of the program when the exception occurs. If you don't write the code in try block, then if the exception occur, there will not be any control. You will not have control of your code. The Java basically interpreter, compiler, whatever you want to call, it will take control, it will take over the control, and it will print the exception in the output. तो यहाँ पे let's try to create an exceptional situation. So exceptional situation, how do we create that? A की value becomes 0. This is an exceptional situation. This line b by 0, 2 by 0, when it will do, यहाँ पे exception आएगा, and it will skip rest of the try block. Next, any further line in the try block will not be executed, and it will go in the except block, and it will print in except block. Let's run that. If I'll run that, it is printing in except block. Now if you see that we have put this code जहाँ पे there was a possibility for an exception to occur is there, and we have landed on this except block. That means the control is in our hand only, right? Programmer's hand only. That is why we have defined some set of rule or some statement we have put inside except block, which we want to execute in the case when the exception will occur. As we are defining what to do when the exception is occurring, so we can say that the control is in our hand, right? Now let's consider a situation where we are not using try except block. ठीक है? In that case, let me comment this out. यहाँ पे uh, what will happen in this case if I'll run this program? See, control जो था, it is not in our hand. So basically, it will be printed in a stack trace. All your execution flow will be disrupted, and nothing will be done, right? So there is one more thing. Let me show you, which will be, further explain the control in your that control is in your hand. Print uh, flow after normal flow after exception occurrence. ठीक है? एंड लेट मी कमेंट दिस आउट फर्स्ट. तो यहाँ पे कंट्रोल अपने हाथ में एक्सेप्शन में गया एंड देन नॉर्मल फ्लो आफ्टर एग्जीक्यूशन दिस विल ऑल्सो एग्जीक्यूट. सी, normal flow after exception occurrence will be executed because we have everything in control. We have used try and except block. Now ये वाला let's comment out this code and यहाँ पे let's print out. Now we are not using any try except block. तो यहाँ पे exception आएगा and control will not be in our hand. Now Python interpreter will take care of it. And this normal flow after exception occurrence, everything will be disrupted. Even if you have one line or even if you have 10,000 line of code, nothing will be executed. Okay, see, nothing got executed. So in order to keep control in your hand, you basically use try and except block for handling the situation where there is a possibility that exception can occur. That is why it is recommended that use try and except block as much as you can for such situations only. Okay. Now we have something known as else block also. Else block in with try except we have something known as else block also. So else block क्या होता है? In else block में let me print a statement. No exception occurred. So else block basically denotes if in these lines inside the try block, if no exception will come, you just print whatever is inside else block. If exception comes, then print what is there in except block. So in this case, when a becomes 0, it will print in except block and normal flow after exception occurred. Correct? In except block and normal flow after exception occurrence. Because whenever exception occurs, else block will not be executed. Now let's see the condition where exception do not occur. In this case, what will happen? This will run fine and this will not execute because exception did not occur. It will execute no exception occurred and normal flow after exception occurrence. It is printing the value, then no exception occurred and normal flow after exception occurrence. So else block is basically to run any piece of code when exception do not occur. Then we have a finally block also. So finally block means in final block. So final block is something which will get executed always. So इसकी probability है it will either execute yes or no. else की भी है yes or no. Because ये exception अगर आई तो this will get executed. यहाँ पे अगर exception आई तो this will not get executed. So this is the possibility for except and else block. For finally block, yes and no means exception occurring or exception not occurring. If exception is not occurring or if exception is occurring, in both these cases, finally block will be executed. So it will get executed, right? So any piece of code which you want to execute always, when even if the exception occurs or even if it do not occur, you put that piece of code inside finally. तो फर्स्ट केस देखते हैं. यहाँ पे एक्सेप्शन विल नॉट अक्कर, finally will be executed here also. always get executed, right? ये वाला. And let's add exception also. इस केस में यहाँ पे भी always get executed. The final block get executed. So these are the basics of exception handling, where you can basically raise, uh, try, except. You can basically use try, except, else, and finally. Okay. So this is about try, except, finally. Now, next thing is raise keyword. So raise keyword is something same as throw keyword in Java. So when you explicitly want to raise the exception, then you basically use the keyword raise keyword. Okay. So what does it mean? So let's say I want to raise any exception on my will. Ki I have to decide a situation where I have to use the exception. So a का value I'll give some value a2, and यहाँ पे if a value is 5, I want to raise a exception saying that okay, I want to just raise an exception. So for that I'll use raise keyword and I'll use exception class, or exception class के अंदर I mean in this, when I'm calling this, inside this I'll give the user defined method. uh, a value is 5, hence I hence exception is raised. So this is custom exception, or not custom exception. This is the exception which I am raising on my own will. ठीक है. And print flow after execution. ठीक है. So a की value 2 है. So when a value is 2, nothing will happen, right? It will just print flow after execution. As soon as the value of a becomes 5, and if I'll run it, it will raise an exception basically. So यहाँ पे see, it has raised the exception. Now it has raised the exception, right? So it has just raised the exception. Just understand it very clearly. It has just raised the exception. So whenever exception is raised, the control is not in our hand, right? So that's what it is showing. The control is not in our hand, and that's why the interpreter, this particular message is being, showcased in the stack trace. If we want to keep the control in our hand, what we have to do? To keep the control in our hand, we have to use try except block, right? So if I will use this raise exception inside try and except block, let's say try block ये किया, and यहाँ पे except block किया, ठीक है. That means अभी यहाँ पे it will raise the exception, so यहाँ पे except block it will print, and the control is in our hand, so it will print except block and flow after execution. Except block and flow after execution. So 2 points to remember, right? Exception raise किस किस सिचुएशन में हो सकती है? फर्स्ट सिचुएशन, ऑटोमेटिकली इन कोड इन सर्टेन एक्सेप्शनल सिचुएशंस, जो हमने पहले देखा था, राइट? एंड देन एक्सप्लिसिटली मींस ऑन अवर विल, एक्सप्लिसिटली बाय यूजिंग रेज कीवर्ड. ठीक है. दीज आर 2 पॉइंट्स एक्सेप्शन रेज का. व्हेन एक्सेप्शन इज raised, control is not in our hand. ठीक है. Now to keep control in our hand, we have to keep the code where there is a possibility for exception raise. That code needs to be put inside try and except block. So this is the overall gist of, overall basic of exception handling, basically. So this is about the exception handling. Next thing is classes and objects. So let's take a 10 minutes break. We'll meet after 10 minutes and we'll start the Python classes and object. So see you after 10 minutes. Hey everyone. So I think one thing I have just missed to cover, that is assert keyword, right? So let's cover that up also. So assert keyword is also used to specifically raise the assertion error. Okay, so how do we do that? Let's say that यहाँ पे if okay, a equal to 5 I am taking, and I'll use assert keyword assert, and I have to assert that b should not be equal to 0. If b is not equal to 0, sorry, not b or a, sorry. So I have to assert that a is not equal to 0. So as soon as a becomes 0, it is telling internally कि raise assertion error. So print इसमें भी, let's say I'm writing after assertion some statement. In this case, if I'll run the program, it will print after assertion. But let's say if a becomes 0, यहाँ पे if a becomes 0, and if I'll run this program again, it will raise this assertion error, right? And the normal, again, the same thing is there. The normal execution flow disrupts, and print after assertion is not getting printed. So again, you can raise the exception using raise keyword वहां पे, but you have to write raise and then exception class instance you have to give, and then you have to pass some message inside it. And assert is basically is used to raise assertion error. Assertion means we are asserting something or we are comparing something. So people who were who have some experience in automation testing, they might be able to relate it better. So whenever you are comparing something and you want to basically fail your program at particular comparison, so you will be basically using assert. So this is the exact usage of assert. So you can just use assert keyword and then you can use whatever you want to assert. There is one more point here. Whatever exception that you will use, that you will raise using raise keyword, it will run every time. Assert keyword can be basically, this particular statement can be used for debugging purpose. So when you will run your program, there are some ways to disable this assert also. So -o you give while running your script, so it will disable all the assert statement. It will not consider that, and it will run your program. But for the quick usage of doing some assertion on some points, you will just use assert keyword and it will basically raise the assertion error. So instead of using raise assertion error and then putting some message, so you are just using a quick one liner, one word keyword assert to do the same thing. So this is about assert keyword. Now next is classes and object. Classes and objects. इसमें so basically classes and object, we will see how do we basically create class in Python and how do we create the reference or the object of Python, and then we will see how to create, first thing, create classes and objects. Okay. Second is what are constructors, and constructors are two types, right? Non-parameterized constructor and then parameterized constructor. We will see that, and then we will also see deleting an object attribute. How do we do that? And then what are methods, basically methods, and then class level variables. So let's quickly see these things. So classes, if you want to create classes, so classes are basically introduced to implement OOPS concept within any programming language. So if we talk about Java, so Java is a pure, in technical terms, pure object-oriented programming. But Python is the amalgamation of functional programming, procedural programming, as well as uh, object-oriented programming, right? So OOPS concepts are there, but without usage of classes and object, you can still code in Python, right? But if you want to oopsify your uh, basically the concept or the code that you are writing, then in that case you will be using class. Now, in order to create a class in Python, you will use a class keyword. You will write the name of the class ABC, something like this, and inside it you will basically create some variable. Let's say x equal to 12 I am giving, and uh, after that, okay, so this is the class, and then after outside the class, if I want to create the object of the class, so I'll create one reference variable ref1, and then I will equate it to a, b, c like this. Now, if you look closely, these two left hand side and right hand side, what we are doing in this line is that we are creating an object of a class, and class object contains the variables x equal to 15, whatever is there that is defined on class level, and ref1 will be the variable which will basically point to the object of this class. So ref1 is basically the reference variable, and the right hand side is basically the object ABC and then brackets, right? So this is the object. So this is how we create. And then in order to access the variable of this class, so you'll use print, and then you'll access the variable using this reference variable ref1.x. And if I'll run this program, it will print 12. So this is how we basically create a class, create object, reference variable pointing to that object, and then accessing the elements of that particular class. Now, there is one more thing that you can do to calculate total number of objects that are there at any present instance for a particular class. So for that, I'll use print, and I will be using class ka name. First of all, first name of the class is ABC dot count. So it will, okay, ABC has no attribute count. ABC dot count. Why it is not printing? Add field count. 1 second. Hmm. Okay, so okay. Okay, I don't know. So this used to work. I don't know why it is not running currently. Any idea? Raj, you have any idea why this is not working? Count.
I'm just thinking, Abnesh, I haven't used it, but
I have used it before. It used to work.
uh, if you're calling some special methods on a class, it should start with some underscore underscore. Am I not wrong? Yeah, similar to what we do for init.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. So yeah, I'll have to look into it. Probably I'll look into it later on. But okay, so this is about the concept of class. And usually there is a method count method which basically calculate total number of objects that are present at any particular time. So I'll have a look into it later on, and I'll let you know. Second thing is constructors. So what are constructors of a class? So constructors are used for any instantiation of an object. So instantiation of an object means when you are creating an object. So यहाँ पे this line is known as the instantiation of an object, and it is used to instantiate the object. So in Python, we have underscore underscore init method, which is called as constructor and is always called when an object is created. So If I don't define anything inside it, it will be a default constructor. But let's say if I will define something like def, and then I will use init, and inside this I'll write print. This is no param constructor. So this, see, every constructor will have this uh, what you say, this self parameter passed there. So basically we can say this as a one param constructor or no param constructor. So no param constructor, why I'm calling this as a no param constructor, because except self we are not passing any other specific parameter inside it. So let's instead of calling no param constructor, just call it as constructor. Okay. Now what will happen in this case? So this is a constructor defined inside this class. So whenever you are creating the object, so you are creating your object like this, right? So ABC, if you remember, right, function call or method call, how do we do that? We call that function and then brackets like this we call, right? Yahan pe bhi it is something like this, right? We are writing ABC and then brackets are there. So this is a function call for sure, right? Function call or method call in this case. And ABC, when you are using the name of the class and then you are using brackets, so it's a constructor call in this case. Constructor call matlab at this line, while the object is being created, so it means that it will call the constructor. So it will print constructor, means it will execute the body of this constructor. It will print constructor, and then after printing it, it will then create a reference variable ref1 pointing to the object of this class. And in next line, on this line number 10, it will print the value of x. So when I'll run it, it will print constructor and then it will print the value as 12. So this is the concept of constructor. So whatever you want to uh, basically achieve during the object creation, you put that code or you put that particular logic inside the constructor body. Okay. Now this self keyword, so this can be any keyword, this can be any word. It can be self, or self ka matlab, it basically defined that uh, self is something which refers to the current object. So it's mandatorily the first parameter in any method or constructor. So self is mandatorily the first parameter of any method or constructor inside a class. So ये इसको मैं, if I'll give it as a, if I'll run, it will still work. But self, why we give? Because self is mandatorily present in every constructor and method, and self denotes the current object. So that's why we use a specific standardized word self, so that it basically reminds people, whoever is writing the code or whoever is reading the code, that it will basically give the impression that self here denotes the current object. So this is about constructor. Now, uh, uh, inside constructor, what you can do, so if you want to access the variables of the class, right? Let's say instance variable y equal to 13 if I'll give. So inside constructor or inside any method, if you want to access any variable, instance variable, so you will use the keyword, this particular keyword self dot a to access it. So self dot x को I'll do 120, and self, let's do just self dot x equal to 120. तो यहाँ पे when I'll run this code, what will happen in this line? It is a constructor call. It will go here. It will print constructor. It will change the value of x to 120. So constructor is already printed on screen. Then on this line, when it will go and it will try to access x here, it will print 120 instead of 12. So यहाँ पे when I will run this, it will print 120. So if you want to access any instance variable inside a class or a method, you will use the keyword self. Or it is, as a matter of fact, this can be anything, as I said, right? So a, और यहाँ पे भी a dot x करोगे, so it will be the same thing. It's just that for nomenclature and for clear understanding, we use the word self here. Okay. So this is about the constructor. Now you can have parameterized constructor also. So parameterized constructors are something where it is accepting accept the mandatorily self parameter. It will accept any other parameter. Let's say I. It is accepting, and constructor, and यहाँ पे let's say I'll print the value I. And in this case, what will happen when we are trying to create the object? यहाँ पे I will pass the value of I. Let's say 23 I'll pass. So that's where this matches here, right? So this is the parameter which will fall in this I equal to 23. It will become. And when I'll run this program, so constructor equal to 23 it will print, and then 120 it will print. So if I'm running this program, so constructor equal to 23, and then it is printing 120. So these are about parameterized and non-parameterized constructor. Okay. Now let's say uh, let's create some methods also here, right? So in order to create method, what I will do, I will use the word def, ठीक है? And let me name those method as m1, and self should be the mandatory mandatory parameter inside any method or constructor. So self will be there for sure. Inside it I will do print just m1. I'll print m1 method, and yeah, let's I mean that should be fine. I'm just creating one method, and in order to call that method I can use the reference variable ref1 dot m1. I'll do so it will call that method and it will print m1. And let me comment this out. So once I'll run this program, it will basically constructor को 23 value यहाँ पे दिया, and then in this line when I'm doing ref1 dot m1, it will go inside this and it will print m1. So यहाँ पे that is why m1 is printed. Now one more thing. यहाँ पे if I'll use it inside print statement, something like this, print ref1 dot m1. So M1 is not returning anything, right? There is no return value from inside this. There is no return statement. So यहाँ पे it will print M1 and then it will print none, because as I told, right, any function or any method which do not return anything and it will try to access that within the print method, it will print none if there is no return. There is no explicit return from inside those function or method. So if I'm running this, you can see it is printing M1, and then after that it is printing none, NONE. Right? So this is about uh, quick uh, uh, check on classes and object in Python. Now, as part of level 3, we will be seeing some inbuilt Python standard library. For example, we'll see math, and we will also see what else? What else? Random. We will see random library, and then let's say we will also see collections. What else? We'll also cover what else? OS is there, sys is there. So I'm just thinking what else we can cover so that ठीक है, we will cover first these three libraries, and if time permits, so we can take up few more libraries like OS and SYS, argparse. There are many libraries. So I just wanted to give you uh, you know introduction about these libraries. These are some of the useful libraries which basically can be used within Python in our day-to-day coding. Okay, so let's start with maths library. So maths library, let me create one more mind map. इसमें क्या क्या कवर करेंगे, I'll quickly brief you. So maths or math basically, इसमें we will cover the constants. What are important constants here? Then simple rounding. How do we do simple rounding here? Then power and roots are there. Power and root functionalities are there. Then exponentiation, exponential and logs. Then trigonometry is there, and combinatorics is there. There are a lot of things inside this, and number theory, precision helper, hypotenuses. There are a lot many things. Okay, number theory, and then hypotenuse. Okay, so let's quickly see these things, what we can do using this library math. Okay. So for this math, you don't require explicit installation, as this is part of Python standard library. All you need to do is that you'll just use the import math, this particular line, and you are good to go. So first thing is constants, right? So we'll see what are constant in math library. So I'll print these constants one by one. So first constant is pi constant. So it will basically store the value of pi. So math dot pi is something which denotes the pi value. So if I'll run this, it will basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. After 15 decimal places, it will represent the value math dot pi. Next constant is, let's say, math dot e. So math dot e basically hold the value of exponential value, e key value, right? So it is 2.718, something like that, right? Then we have the value as tau. So print math dot tau. So tau basically represent 2 pi, if I'm not wrong. Tau is 2 into pi. Yeah, so 2 pi is what is meant by tau. So when I'll run it, it will be 3.14 into 2 का जो भी आएगा 6.2831, right? Because what happens now, so if you'll find the value of two value, not value, this circumference of a circle, yeah, in all those geometrical expressions that you calculate, usme 2 pi r something like this is there, right? So instead of using 2 pi, we can use just tau into r, something like this. So tau means 2 pi. Then we have math dot infinity, inf is there. So it basically represents a very large number. Math dot inf, it represents a very large number, not exactly infinity, and it is represented by inf. So the word is inf. So inf is there, and then nan is also there. Nan means not a number. So these are the representation using math library. It will print nan. So nan and inf basically represents infinity and not a number. Okay, so this is about constants. Now let's see how do we do simple rounding using math library. So let's say we take some numbers, a number, let's say x, I have taken 4.7, y, I have taken minus 4.7. Okay, these two numbers. So I'll use print math dot ceil. Okay, ceil of x and ceil of y we will see. Ceil का मतलब ये होता है कि ceiling, right? So this is the number, and 4 is 4 is there, let's say, and as it is an increasing number, 5 will be upper, right? So let's consider this as a ceiling, right? Ceiling means chat. So any number between these two, 4.7, you just have to print its ceiling. So 4 and between 4 and 5, whatever number is there, 4.7, 4.3, it will print 5 only. Let's see that. It is printing 5. So instead of 4.7, कुछ भी होगा, 4.1 भी होगा, it will print 5 only because it is a ceiling, right? And the concept of ceiling, I've just told you how to decode the concept of ceiling. And for minus 4.7, it will be ulta. So it will be minus 4 because minus 4 point minus number ka if we'll take, so minus 5 is less and minus 4 will be this. So this way 4 point minus 4.7 अगर जो होगा उसका ceiling की तरफ जाएगा, and the ceiling is minus 4 in this case. So this is what math.ceil do. Then we have math.floor. Math.floor x का देखेंगे तो x ये ceiling का, this is opposite of ceiling. So 4.7 का it will be printing 4, and negative में it will be ulta. So in this case, when I'll run the program math.floor x, it will print whatever is there on the floor, 4. Next is trunk. So trunk will basically truncate the decimal. 4.7, 0.7 के बाद it will just truncate. And uh, okay, yeah. So this is about simple rounding. Next we have power and roots. So power and roots में we have mat dot square root, SQRT. ठीक है, तो mat dot square root is basically used to print the square root. तो 25 का square root it will print 5 and I'll run it 5.0 means in decimal. Then we have one more method name as POW, power. So power में 2 comma 4 if I'm writing, so it means 2 is to the power 4. So 2 into 2, 4 into 2, 12 and 16. So output will be 16 in this case. If I'm running this, it will print 16.0 again in decimal uh, format, right? And uh, instead of math.power, we can directly use one more thing, right? So we have exponentiation function 2 and then 2 star 4. Both do same thing. The above one gives in float, the below one basically gives in the number, and this is a little bit faster in terms of operation, right? Operational efficiency. Whatever we have used on line number 8 is faster compared to line number 7. Okay, so with that we have covered power and root. Next is exponential and logs. So exponential and logs means, let's say x का value something छोटा, x equal to 2 I'm giving, and then inside this I'm doing print math dot uh, exp of x I am giving. So it is like it represent e is to the power x. तो यहाँ पे x की वैल्यू 2 है, तो it will represent e is to the power 2. So when I'll run, it will print the value of e is to the power 2, which will be 7.3890 and so on. Yeah. Then we have then we have log method. So log of 10 if I'll print. So log of 10 basically represent ln of 10. So log of 10 basically will print ln of 10. So what will be the value of ln of 10 if I'll run this program? It is 2.3025, whatever, right? Now if I want to uh, use 10 with the base of 10, right? So log 10 if I'll use log 10 at the rate, I mean log of 10 with base 10. So this is how we will basically use. In this case, it will print 1, right? 1.0. So this is the exponential and logs. Next is trigonometry. Okay. So trigonometry में we will see how do we use basically trigonometry functions. So trigonometry में we by default it is taking radians, not degree. So radian means you radians में जैसे हम sin 90 की जगह we used to write sin pi by 2, right? So pi by 2 is the radian. This angle is radian. And sin 90 when we write, this is the degree. So degree and radians. So this is how the trigonometry by default takes. So if we want, let's say if we are using math dot sine, let's say sine of pi by 2 मेरे को करना है. So what I will use for using pi, I will use math dot pi, right? It will give pi and by 2. So it is like pi by 2, right? Which is 90. तो sin of 90 क्या होता है? 1 होता है, right? So it will print 1.0. Similarly, cos of 90 if I'll do, it will print whatever is the value. Math dot cos math pi by 2. Okay. Okay. Cos 0 is 1, right? तो cos 0 अगर मैं करता हूं तो it is 1. Okay. Then okay, so we can convert between degrees and radians. We can convert. So let's say if I want to convert from math dot radian function is there. So radian of 180 मतलब कि मेरे को डिग्री से this degree I am giving as a parameter. I want to convert that in radian. So I'll use math dot radian. Okay, math dot radians, not radian. So if I'll run this, it will print the value. So pi 180 is pi, right? So it is giving 3.1418. If I want to convert from radians to degrees, so I'll use degrees and यहाँ पे math dot pi if I'll use math dot pi. So वो pi को it will convert this pi into degrees. So output will be 180. If I'll run this, output will be 180. So this is about uh, trigonometry function, trigonometrical operations that you can perform using math.library, right? Now, next thing is combinatoric. So combinatoric basically is useful for probabilities and combination, which is probabilities and combination means probability, not probability, sorry, permutation and combination, and then factorial also is being used. So print may, if I'll use math dot, first of all, let's see factorial. So factorial of 5, 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. So if I'll run it, it will print the factorial of 5, which is 120. Then we have combination, right? We used to find combination, right? So उसके लिए COMB comb we will use, and यहाँ पे we'll give two numbers, sorry, two arguments, 5 and 2. So what it represent is 5C2, right? Combination and permutation, if you remember your college and school days. So 5C2 is represented by this in Python. So if I'll do 5C2 and if I'll run it, it is printing 2, sorry, 10. For permutation, we will use PERM. So PERM, it will basically be denoted by 5P2. So if I'll run it, it will do, it will calculate 5P2, which is 20. So this is about combinatorics. Then next is number theory, right? So number theory may we basically have lot many things, right? GCD, LCM, and then there are lot many things. So if you want to find the uh, GCD, right? So GCD, LCM, these are school time concepts in mathematics. So GCD of let's say 12 and 18, if you want to calculate, so it will find the GCD, which is 6. Then let's say LCM, aapko, you want to calculate LCM. So LCM of 12 and 18, if you'll do, it will find it out, and which is 36 in this case. Then there are few more things inside the number theory and precision helper. There are like what you say, checking special value. Let's say x को मैंने x I have given the value as math dot infinite. Okay. So infinite, x will be denoted by a infinite number. There is no particular number to denote x. So if I'll print x, it will print, first of all, it will print INF. It will not print any particular number. Okay. So if I'll run this program, it is printing INF. Now, as part of number theory and precision helper, I'll use one more method, print math dot is finite देखने के लिए. So is finite, and I'll check whether x is finite or not. So यहाँ पे it will print false because x is infinite. तो यहाँ पे it is printing false. And similarly is nan is also there, not a number. यहाँ पे मैं इसे अगर nan देता हूँ and then I'll use is nan. So in this case also it will print. So is nan is checking whether it's nan. So यहाँ पे it will print true. यहाँ पे इसने true print किया. And then last and not the least, hypotenuse. So hypotenuse basically three things it basically do. First of all, okay, क्या हो गया ये? Okay. First thing is it calculate normal hypotenuse, right? जो Pythagoras theorem में what we used to learn, right? Second thing is it calculates length of the vector. ठीक है? And the third thing it basically do is calculate Euclidean normalization. What is this? I'll come to these one by one. ठीक है? First of all, calculate the normal hypotenuse. So For calculating normal hypotenuse, what I will do, I will use, let's say I'm inside print statement, I'm using math dot hypotenuse and let's say 5 comma 3. ठीक है, I am using 5 comma, okay, 5 comma 3 में it will be not the clear value, 3 comma 4 let me use. So 3 comma 4 मतलब there is one base is there, let's say 3, and then 4 height is there, so this is the hypotenuse, right? So calculate this. So ये Pythagoras theorem से calculate करते थे, तो it will basically calculate this hypotenuse. So यहाँ पे 4 square plus 3 square का complete under square, so it will come as 5, right? So when I run this program, the output will be 5.0. Okay, so the first usage is calculating normal hypotenuse. Second is calculate the uh, the length of, basically length of vector. Okay, before that, let's see what is how do we calculate Euclidean norm. So Euclidean norm is also, let's say if there is three number x1 comma x2 comma x3, so for calculating the Euclidean norm, what we do basically, we will do x1 square plus x2 square प्लस x3 स्क्वायर एंड इसका कंप्लीट का अंडर रूट. सो इसका अंडर रूट वी विल डू. सो इट इज लाइक फाइंडिंग हाइपोटेन्यूज ओनली, but with more than two numbers. It's not just the triangle in which we are trying to find. So that is the Euclidean form. So Euclidean form में you can have more numbers. Let's say 6 comma 8 comma something else, you give 6 comma 8 comma 2. So it will do 6 square plus 8 square plus 2 square का complete का under root, right? So whatever will be the value is calculated. So this is about calculating the Euclidean norm. Now it is also used to calculate the length of the vector. So how do it calculate the length of the vector? सबसे पहले देखते हैं how does it basically work. तो ये if I'll draw the graph ऐसे, so यहाँ पे 0,0 1 coordinate, let's take 0,0, ठीक है, and then यहाँ पे there is some point 3,4, some point is there. So if I so this is basically a vector, right? ये vector है, this is a vector. So vector, this is the starting point, this is the ending point of the vector, and in order to calculate the length of this vector, how do we do that? Basically uh, we basically do, ये x1 y1 था, ठीक है, this coordinate, and this coordinate is x2 y2. So how do we do basically x2 minus, जब हम मैथ्स में पढ़ते थे, so how do we basically calculate the length of this vector? x2 minus x1 करते थे, we used to do x2 minus x1, and then इसका स्क्वायर करते थे, then we do plus y2 minus y1, y2 minus y1, and then इसका स्क्वायर करते थे, and then for the complete expression we do under root, like this we used to do, right, which basically calculates the length of the vector in mathematics. So that's how it will basically use to calculate the length of the vector. कैसे करना है इसका? Let's say we will take x1 coordinate as x1 comma y1 equal to 0,0 ऐसे लिया, right? It is like multiple variable, multiple uh, assignments, right? x2 comma y2, let's keep it as 3 comma 4, and then you will print math dot hypotenuse, and then hypotenuse में कैसे करेंगे? So the same thing that we have just seen, right? x2 minus x1 and y2 minus y1. So when I'll run this, 5.0. Okay, so this is how you basically calculate the length of the vector basically. So this is how this hypotenuse method will be used, right? So this will be used to calculate hypotenuse, this will be used to calculate Euclidean norm, and it is also used to calculate the length of the vector. So this is about the math library. So yeah, so I think we will cover up next thing. Few more things are there before we wrap up Python level 3. So random library is there, collections library is there, OSS library is there. So in next class, let's see how much we can cover, and then we'll start Python level 4. So level 4, because in Python level 3 we will be also covering Python, what is the difference between Python module, package, library, that also we will quickly see. And then as part of Python library, Python level 4, we'll see NumPy, pandas, matplotlib, and seaborn, right? So we'll cover that as well. Okay, so before I'll wrap up this session, so I just wanted to share a few things with you. So I have started a career maker program. So what is the career maker program? I'll just give you a quick brief overview about it. So career maker program is basically where you will be getting paid for the referral, right? So if you will be referring someone for the training, so you will be getting paid for each referral. So I'll just quickly show you what exactly referral will look in this case. So as you are the learners and alumni, right? So you will be our alumni growth partner. So as part of that rule, so let's say if you have referred, let's say if any person has referred is able to refer 10 students, right, for the next upcoming batch, so 1300 per referral is something which he will get for the as a referral, right? So if let's say 10 people is referred, let's say Swagat is referring 10 people, so he will be paid out 13,000 rupees for those 10 referral. So and there are external growth partner also that we are looking, so which is something someone who is not part of this training or who is not the student, so that is a separate thing. But for you, learning and alumni growth partner program is applicable. So I'll share this PPT with you on the group. So if you are interested and if you want to refer some people for the upcoming batches, do let me know. You will be paid out for those referrals, and the paid out will be as per this particular table that you are seeing on the screen. Okay, I just quickly wanted to show you this as well, so that you will be you have the understanding that if you'll be referring the people, you will be paid out for those referral. Cool. Anything before we wrap up this session? Anything anyone wants to bring up, or anything which you want to discuss? Anyone? I think that's pretty much it then. So yeah, that's it for today's session. So thank you everyone. Have a nice day ahead, and we will I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you.